Let's begin our today's lecture with the forecasting. Forecasting is very, very critical. I already mentioned in my last lecture. You see, in our country, there are many problems arose because of the forecasting. One of the challenges we all are facing is of energy crisis. The other, you might have witnessed about the passport issue. The passport was not available. Why? Because the paper was not there, ink was not there. So the many things which are not forecasted properly will be a nuisance for the customers, for the consumers. Problem for the consumer or the customer at the end. So I just came across another problem in a university. I would not name the university. It's a government university, so they do not have the degree paper right now. So you see, when your forecasting is not appropriate, forecasting is not as per the proper controlling is not there, proper error managing is not there, changing of the method is not there, long-term forecasting, there is no concept of long-term forecasting and the medium and the short-term forecasting, then the problem arises. Anyway, we start our today's lecture with the 7 steps. These 7 steps are very, very critical. Why? Because whenever you come across any forecasting kind of thing, you need to start with the first step. And these all 7 steps are sequential. Remember, these all are sequential, one after another. Start with the determine the use of the forecast. That what is the use of forecast? Where you are going to use the forecast? For example, are you going to use the forecast in your strategic planning? Are you going to use the forecast in your production? Are you going to use the forecast in the quarterly plan of yours? Are you going to use the forecast for the daily operations? So this is very, very important, primarily very important. Determine the use of forecast. Select the items to be forecasted. What are the items? What are the products? What do you have to forecast? Determine the time horizon of the forecast. Time horizon is time period. What is the time period? Quarter, 2 quarters, a year, or more than a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Very important. Time horizon is important. Select the forecasting models. There are different models you forecast with them. Firstly, there are qualitative models, quantitative models. When you go with the qualitative, you must not have much data. That is why you go with the qualitative. When you do not have data, you go with the qualitative. As per your instinct, as per the expertise, experience, learning, you go with that. And with the mixed method, you go with your instinct, with your knowledge, with your expertise, plus the data you get from the market. Like soft launch, whenever you soft launch, you test the offtake of the product, demand of the product. So that is the mixed approach. And the third one is the quantitative approach. Quantitative approach is the one in which you use the data. You have a data and through which you understand which method is more appropriate. So you gather the data with the forecasting, with the finalization of the forecasting model, you go with the gathering the data. Gathering the data is very, very important. If you do not gather the data, if you do not have the data, you can never analyze it. Make the forecast. Make the forecast means apply the model and get the forecast. That is the make the forecast. The last one is validate and implement results. When it is validated, when it is appropriately taken out by the method, then you have to check it out with the error. What is the error? And every single month, every single year, you have to closely monitor what is going on. If there is a huge error, if the error of a short-term forecast is more than 1%, then you must be pretty concerned about it. If you have a medium term and your error is more than 2%, then you must be concerned. You have to change your method. And if your error is more than 5% in the long-term forecast, then you must be concerned. So it is very, very important that you validate your results, because validation make you comfortable that your method is properly giving you the right results. One method is not the final method. It is not the divine method. So there are different methods you apply, and if you see now with the advent or with the coming of the ERPs and the MIS systems, we are very much inclined to use the different methods which are very complicated but are easily available. So when you will go into the market, in the industry, you will just have a name of the model and you just apply with a click. You do not need to know the real formula behind it. For example, you want to know the seasonal forecast results, so you apply the seasonal. When you want to apply the non-seasonal, you just apply the non-seasonal without knowing the details about it. Okay, so it is now very much easy. There are multiple methods. There are more than 10 methods which are available. Okay, so in our course, the scope of our learning is not more than the moving average, the weighted average, the exponential smoothing, and that's it. In fact, we are not going towards the linear regression and other methods. We are not seasonal methods. We are not going for the seasonal methods. So we are focused with a few methods, and that's it for the scope of this this chapter. Next. So right now we are about to start the weighted moving average. In the last class we discussed about the moving average. Do you remember about the moving average? Any idea? What is moving average? Very good, excellent. When you take the average of the last 3 months sales, the actual, then you get the demand, your forecast of the next month. Very simple. It's very simple. You just take an average of the last 3 months. And I also taught you naive method. Do you remember naive method? Yes. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is naive method? Miss, you don't have the notebook? Everyone must be writing on the notebook. Naive method, I am just repeating myself. Exactly. Many students ask me, whenever I give any question about the naive method, they ask me, sir, you have not taught naive method. That is why I am focusing now. I usually give, and it's a free marks actually, because naive method says whatever your last month actual is your next month forecast. It is one of the easiest method, but students does it wrongly. Students do it wrongly. Ji? The last month actual or sales is the forecast of the next month. Forecast of the next month. So basically this method tells you that when you have no data at all, so you go with a naive method. Naive means the one who is not expert, amateur, or the one who is not very expert, seasoned. So they go with the naive method. Okay? Okay, let's move ahead with the weighted moving average. Weighted moving average is very interesting. Maybe I gave you the example before. The weighted is when you assign a particular percentage to that. For example, if I assign particular percentage, particular weightage to your marks. For example, I gave weightage to your CP, that is 30. I gave weightage to your midterm, 25. I gave weightage to your final, that is 40. So that is also a kind of a weightage. Weightage is when you have the importance of one element more than the others. For example, when one month is more important than the other. When you see 1 month demand or actual, 1 month actual is more important than the other month. So then we go with the weighted moving average, and it says that the last few months, the last few actuals has more weight. The last few actuals have more weight. For example, the last month we gave the 0.4 weight, and the month before that we gave 0.2. The month before that we gave 0.3. So you see I have given the most weight to the last one. Used when trend is present, older data usually less important. Yes? Yes, I will be giving you an example. Used when trend is present. When there is trend is present, we use it. Older data usually less important. Older data is usually less important. So we go with the latest one. Weights based on experience and intuition. So basically weights are as per experience. For example, in every class, I give different weights. In every of my class, I give different weights. So this is a summer semester. I have just given a different weights. You know, if you have studied any other course from me, you might have witnessed other way. Is it true? Yes. That's how it happens. So it's based on experience and intuition. What my purpose is to maximize the learning. So my purpose is maximize the learning. So according to that, I give weight to the CP, to midterm and to the final. The formula is weighted moving average. You give weight and you multiply with the demand in period and divided by total weights. Divided by total weights. For example, I give weight to the last month 0.5. For example, how much? 0.5. So you see, I give 0.5 weight to this, the last month, and the last month actual is 40 and divide by 0.5, 0.4, 0.1. You see? What is that? What is that? It is the weight of the last month, that is 0.5, and this weight is there, and this weight is there, this weight is there. So this is the weight of the last month and the before that and before that. Next, I will give another example. Call him. Okay, you see, either you can give the weights in points or in numbers. It's over you. Okay? You see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. These are the actual sales. Actual sales, and these are the weights. So when we take 10, 12, and 13, 10, 12, and 13. So if we take out the April forecast, so the 13 is the latest one. 13 is the latest one. 13 is the latest one. So 13 has the highest weight. That is clear है सबको? आपको clear है? Last month सबसे ज़्यादा होगा, ठीक, हर केस में, in the weighted moving average especially. अच्छा, why? Because if I ask you, just to make you understand, if I ask you what you ate before 2 hours, what did you eat in lunch today? कुछ भी नहीं. That's you remember? If I ask you what did you eat in the lunch before a week, can you tell me? That's how. The latest is more relevant. That is why we have given the highest weight. Then we take the lower than that and then we take lower than that. That is one which is not written. That is one. Okay, one is not written since. So what we did 13 into 3. 13 into plus 12. 12 into 2 plus 10 into 1. Okay, यहाँ तक is it clear up till now? Then we divide. Then we divide with this 6. What is the answer? What is the answer? $12 point something. So you see, it is how you go with the. Now I am just giving you a few minutes. You have to take out the forecast for 19 with this data. With this data. Hurry up. Yes. You have to take out the forecast of this with this data and take the weights same. Okay, let's move ahead. Potential problems with moving average. When we talk about only moving average, so obviously there is no weight behind it. So increasing in smooths the forecast but makes it less sensitive to changes. Okay, so it is less sensitive. It is the problem that it is less sensitive. It does not incorporate the other changes. Do not forecast trends well. It does not forecast the trend since it takes only the last 3 months, the last three the actuals. So it does not cater the trend. Trend is something else. Trend gives you the month after month, day after day trend. So that is not there. Require extensive historical data. It requires data which is not available most of the time. Next. So you see actual and moving average difference. Weighted is there. You see weighted is better than the moving average. Weighted moving average is much better than the moving average. This is the moving average line. The brown line is a moving average. The blue line is the weighted moving average. The purple line is the actual. So you see it is close to actual as compared to moving average. Next. Exponential smoothing we are about to start. What is exponential smoothing? Exponential smoothing talks about the forecast plus demand both. It takes the last month forecast as well with the demand, actual demand. Form of weighted moving average is the form weights decline exponentially. Most recent data weighted most. So it is same kind of thing, but in that you don't take the more than 1 month data or 1 day data, 1 week data. Requires smoothing constant. It requires the smoothing constant, that is the alpha. So it requires the constant, and the constant value is in points from 0 to 1. So you take the alpha value from 0 to 1. Involves little record keeping of past data. Since you require the last month only, or the last day, or the last week, or the last year, so it requires only 1 data. That is the very little amount of data. Alpha is the smoothing constant. You take just to smooth the last month forecast and the actual. Smooth means you make it consistent, make it same. You might have tried smoothie. Have you tried smoothie? Smoothie is what? When you shake all the content, all the ingredient, and it makes the same. So you try to trim the excess basically. Next. Okay, this is the formula. I want you to write this formula. Very important formula. And there is a little chance that I will give you in the exam. The size of the paper gets bigger when I give you the formula. That is why I have stopped giving you formula. You have to remember this formula, memorize the formula. Do not write any formula for the paper. It is inappropriate that you bring formula written on your calculator, on your scale. So do not do that. Okay, remember that. How you can remember? By solving multiple questions. It is memorized. Very easy formula. I just give you a tip to memorize the formula. New forecast equals to last period's forecast. Very easy. New forecast equal to last period's forecast plus with a smoothing constant multiplying the last period's actual demand minus last period's forecast. So that is when you take out the error. What is the formula of error? You see, actual minus the same. So you remember, just you smooth the error. That's it. It is very easy to memorize. Last month forecast, okay, last period forecast plus smoothing constant and error. How do you take out the error? Actual minus forecast. G. For last period's forecast, T minus 1 is T is showing the period. T minus 1. It is showing the period. Time period. For example, March, February. Done? पढ़ा है. For example, you are finding out the forecast of April. This is March. You see, this is the T and this is T minus 1. Okay? So the previous one we talked about the T minus 1. Now we are taking out this is what we are trying to find. Forecast of the next one. That is the FT. Forecast of the next one is FT. So we require the last month forecast and the last month actual. Without these two numbers, you cannot take out the next month forecast in the exponential smoothing. Remember, if the data is incomplete, you cannot take out. You require the last month's forecast, last month actual, both. Shall we move on? Understood? Up till here, understood? You remember the formula now? You see, everything we are taking out of T minus 1. It is very easy. We are taking everything of T minus 1 period. This is all T minus 1 period. It is easy for us. Alpha can be of any number from 0 to 1. I will be giving you in the exam the value of alpha. Don't worry about it. But I can tell you, when we increase the value of alpha, we actually minimize the error. Yes, it's better to be around 0.5. Next. Let's start with the example. Just solve it. Solve this example.
Sir, what is the alpha? 0.20.